Hey, what's up guys, welcome back to another video of Dhruv Coder YouTube channel. And friends, in this video we are going to talk about compiler and interpreter. So let's get started without wasting any time. So guys, first of all, what is this compiler and what is this interpreter? So friends, whenever you write code in any programming language, let's suppose in Python or in C or in C++ or in Java, computer can't understand those words that you are writing there, like print, or if you're writing import, or if you're writing let's suppose int. So computer can't read that. Computer can only understand 0101, the binary language. Okay, so we need some translator to convert this language, this human readable programming language, to a machine code, so the computer can easily understand. So that's why we are using this compiler and interpreter. So you can like assume that this both are works as a translator which converts any programming language code into binary code. Okay, so this is the basic definition like about the working of compiler and interpreter. So let's talk about some difference between those and why these two are coming into picture, why we are not using only compiler and why we are not using only interpreter. So compiler based programming language, like whenever you write the code in C or in C++ or in Java, this programming language are compiler based. So what compiler does is, compiler first checks the whole code. Like if you write something in Java, let's suppose you are writing some code of like 200 and 300 line. So what the compiler does is, compiler start reading from the line number 1 to line number 200, and he read all the code, and then after, whenever he see that like the compiling is done, no errors are there in your code, then it will execute and give you output according to your code. Okay, so that is the working of compiler. And what interpreter does is, like if you write the code in Python or Perl, that are interpreter based programming language. So whenever you write code in Python, let's suppose you write some code about 1 to like 100 line code, and you start run my program. So what interpreter does is, he read one line, first line, and he compile at a time and then run at a time. He see that no errors are there in line number 1, execute it. Then it will go to line number 2, no errors are there, execute it. Now line number 3, no errors, execute it. So that's how interpreter works. And what compiler does, it will execute, like it will compile the whole code first, then it execute the whole code. And what interpreter does, it compile line by line and run line by line. Okay, so let me give you some more understanding about the difference between compiler and interpreter by an example. So let's suppose the festival season are going on and you want to make 5 dishes, A, B, C, D. Okay, and don't use this ABCD. Let me take some real life dishes. So let's say you have to cook chapati, denoted by C, sabzi, denoted by S, lassi, denoted by L, and let's say you want to also make some sweets. So let's say kaju barfi, denoted by K. Okay, so these 4 dishes you have to make for your for your festival season. So what you can do, there will be 2 approaches. First, you can make this whole dish and then eat, and second, you can like make chapati first, eat that, make then sabji, eat that, make lassi, eat that, make kaju barfi, eat that. Okay, so these 2 approaches can be done to make this dishes. So if you first like make chapati, and like if you do, like if you make chapati and then eat it. Okay, so like this is your mouth and you are eating it. Okay, so you are eating this chapati. So what you are doing, you are taking much time uh, to like to find to find some mistake in this whole process. Like if you see that I don't have I don't have some component which by which I can make lassi. So this is the error here. So you can't find, you can find, like you will find the error, you will find this mistake, but later on, not like if you start making like chapati and then sabzi and then lassi and then kaju barfi, and if you start making the whole and then eat, so you may find this mistake earlier, okay, comparatively. So this is a real life example. You can like relate with this to like memorize this, because memorize by definition is lot more difficult, and if you like realize, like if you memorize this thing with an example, then it will be easier for you to remember this for a long time. So now let's see about the pros and cons of compiler. You may think about which is best, which is compiler best, programming language are best, or interpreter. So those both have some pros and some cons. On compiler based programming language, your debugging is fast comparatively to interpreter, because you are making the whole dish first, and the component that you are missing to make lassi, you can find that earlier, rather than if you make one dish and then eat it, okay. So debugging is fast in a compiler. It will take less CPU usage, because you are not doing parallel work. You are first compiling, then running. So CPU usage is less. You are first assigning CPU usage to this and to then this. But in interpreter, both compiling and runtime is going side by side. But overall, it takes time to run one line of code. I am talking about the one line of code, okay, not the whole code, the one line of code, because you are compiling that. Let's say you want to see the measure the runtime of this line. This is the line number one, and your code goes up to 200 line, okay. So if I want to see, like by clicking on this run button, how much time it will take to come to execute this line. So what your compiler does is, your compiler will compile this, and then it will compile till that 200 line. So some time will go, this unnecessary time we are taking here, and then it will compile line number, then it will run the line number one. So it will take overall time taken for to compile one line, if you see. But an interpreter, it directly compile and directly run at that time, so it takes less time. Now that more development work, you have to do more development, because let's see you are writing thousands of lines of code. Let's suppose your code has 1000 lines, and there is some mistake. The like complete code is well and good, but at 100th line, 1000, sorry, not 100, 1000 line, you have some spell mistake or some syntax mistake. So what your compiler will do, your compiler will fail, like your compiler will stop, your compiler will not run that whole code, and then you have to like worry about what goes wrong, and you have to check again your whole code, but the error is at line number 100, you cannot find. So it take more development work, hard work you have to do some here, but not in the case of interpreter. So let's see some pros and cons of interpreter. So it is overall fast on one line, okay, and it is easy to develop, as I mentioned before. You can find on which line you are getting error, so you can like you can fix that line, and then your code will go smoothly. It will time taken debugging, because you have to first run your whole code. If there is some problem in middle of your code, then your code will run from starting to end. Some time will go there, and then it will find that yeah, there are problem. So it will time taken in debugging, and it take not less, it will take more CPU usage, because you are doing compiling and runtime at a time parallelly, so that's why it take more CPU usage rather than compiler, okay. So that are some pros and cons of interpreter. Both are good, both are well. If you develop that depends upon the programming language that you are using. If Java is a compiler based language and you have to use Java, then what you can do, you have to use compiler at that time, okay. And if you want to do machine learning and you have to use my Python, then you have to use interpreter, you have no other option. So uh, that's all. depends on the programming language. And that's all for this video. I hope you like the video, you understand each and every concept. If you have any problem, then feel free to comment below, and like this video if you understand every concept very well, and if you don't, then dislike the video, and no problem, but please mention in the comment section what problem are you facing that caused to you, like you have to dislike this video. Okay, and subscribe to this YouTube channel to get more amazing video on Python and more coding stuff. So that's all for now, and I will see you next time. Take care and bye bye.